Tornadoes begin with a thunderstorm, not just any thunderstorm, called supercells. These supercells reach up to 50,000 feet. They bring high force winds and giant hailstones, sometimes flooding and great flashes of lights too. These are the kinds of storms that breed tornadoes, only if there are very specific conditions placed. Clues that we can record and look for a storm. Rising air is the first thing we need for a tornado to develop. Any storm is born when condensation is developed. The byproducts of the clouds, condensation releases heat. The heat becomes the energy, drives huge upward drafts of air. The more condensation, the bigger the clouds grow, the more powerful those updrafts become. In supercells, this particular air is strong. As the air climbs, it can change direction and start to move more quickly. Finally, at the storm base is a lot of moisture. A huge cloud base develops later, giving something for the tornado to feed off later. If it gets that far, all these things in place, a vortex can develop, enclosed by a storm forming in wide and tall tube of air. When all these things are in place, a vortex can develop, spinning air that now gets pulled upwards. We call this a megacyclone. Outside, cool, seeking dry air, like straps around the back of this megacyclone, forming as what's known as a rear flank down raft. This unusual scenario is called a start temperature difference between the air in the middle of the mesocyclone and the air outside, building up a level of instability to tornado to thrive. Then the mesocyclone's bottom part becomes tighter, increasing the speed of the wind. If, and that's a big if, the funnel of that air moves down into the funnel of that large moist cloud face, bottom of the parent storm, it sucks it in and turns it into a rotating wall of clouds, forming a lane between the storm that created it and the earth. Second that tube touches the ground, it becomes a tornado. Most are small and short-lived, producing winds to 65 to 110 miles per hour, but others can last over an hour, producing 200 mile per hour winds. They are beautiful but terrifying, especially if you or your town is in its path. Please watch this video of the devastation I put together for you.
The people not knowing what to do in case a tornado was coming.
Many people in Oklahoma have storm shelters, but most schools don't. At the Plaza Towers Elementary School, the tornado took its most terrible toll. Nova's cameras are the first to go inside. In this school, 7 children died when the storm tore through. But the tragedy could have been so much worse.
We had about 15-20 minutes to prepare for this, if that. We sat in the hallway, and you get on your knees and you bend over your knees and you put your hands behind your head. All of us teachers took a deep breath and was like trying to figure out, okay, what are we gonna do now? And we just hunkered over our kids and we laid on top of our kids and we did whatever we could.
4 of Maylene's children were elsewhere in the school, including her daughter, Tori.
When it hit the one part of the school, I heard my teacher, Mr. Ayers, he screamed, get down, it's coming, get down.
Then you hear the building being ripped apart and you hear glass shattering and you can't breathe because it's blowing and sucking the air out of the room, and it felt like in an eternity. The building was collapsing.
Everyone started crying and screaming, and the next thing you know, the roof comes off.
In the immediate aftermath, Maylene saw the obliterated school, not knowing if her kids were alive or dead.
So we were shimming out of there trying to get up and make sure our students were okay, and they started screaming and crying, and we knew at that point that they were okay. And we kind of looked around, and there was actually a car that had gone into the teachers that were over here with their students, and so they were pinned under rubble.
After checking that her students were safe, Maylene frantically searched for her own 4 children.
I ran down to the other part of the building and climbed back in the building. Probably took about 30-45 minutes before I actually saw my children. That was probably the best feeling that I had had all day. They just came running and we embraced, and I told them that I loved them.
After this tragedy, Oklahomans are discussing how to make schools safer, and scientists continue their efforts to understand these killer storms. But like the weather itself, tornadoes are complex and varied. It's difficult to come to grips with the nature of these violent storms.
Thank you for watching my video of tornadoes and the aftermath of one.